Well, anyway, I am back, as such as it is, and we have a project going on. I'm building my own electric bike, no pedals, of course. This is a 1-inch steerer from Nova Cycles. It is threaded in the ISO standard. Excuse me. This mark right here, it tells me where the thread begins. And because I don't want to mill a groove in here where the thread begins, I left a mark over here 180 degrees out, so I can have the thread start but not square off the end, so it should line up on the hardware easy. Now I won't have a handlebar and stem running down this, so I've already put in the parts for a threadless headset cap, even though I'm using a threaded headset. I've learned some interesting stuff in my travels in why a bike from Europe, and why all the bikes from Europe that were rode had 1-inch steerers. Had to do with the tubing company, the manufacturer of the tubing. Manufactured in 1 inch. And that's how this became a standard. Excuse me. Now there used to be 3 different threads. An Italian, a French, and a British. And the current thread that's used all over now, the ISO standard, is a British thread. For those of you who did not know and were not racing in the 70s and had to learn such things when you were building a bike. The head tube, let's see if I can get the size in there. This is a standard online item that you can get from Online Metals, and I will cut this down to 7.5 inches before it goes anywhere near the bike. And the headset, I spared no expense. I spent $4 on the headset and $3 shipping. And as I said, I have to mill a groove in that steerer, and this is why. This is the top washer. See if I can put something back there so you can see this a little easier. Here, this should work. You can see that little tab. I have to mill a slot for that little tab to fit. And so I have my 1/8 end mill, which is the size of the tab. Now when you mill, and you're milling a slot right down the middle of something, it's going to be rough on both sides. So what you want to do is you want to move over 2 thousandths to one side, re-mill again on a climbing, and then mill the other side. You go back to your 0, then minus 2 thousandths, and mill the other side climbing. That'll give you clean cuts on both sides of the threads, minimal cleanup, and that's what it's all about. And I hope that was somewhat in like, oh, these, I get these used. The guy I get them from is on eBay, and he used them for circuit boards. So he's cutting aluminum, or not aluminum, but copper. And when you're cutting copper, you have to have a sharp end mill. Still not so much, but copper, yes. So what he does is he uses these, and they're still sharp when he lets them go. And I buy them in small packages, usually like 3 or 4. And you can't go wrong with them on steel. And if you do, you didn't pay much for them. So no tears when they break if you move a little too quick because you're not used to using something so small. The steerer tube is going to go in the top of a 750 Yamaha tri-plate. I'm taking out the original stem bolt, and I'm going to mill the bottom tri-plate to accept this, and the top tri-plate to accept that. And they're both 1 inch, but the bottom gets brazed in when it's done. And when I fit this thing, I'm going to fit it all the way down, plus 1.5 threads, so this will tighten up when it's set and when it's all set and done, no spacers. So what I do is when I go and I weld this in place, I'll have the dry plate set up on two pieces of tubing to emulate the fork tubes. Put the top in place, unthread it 1.5 turns, plunge everything down, weld the bottom, and once it sets, it's good to go. And without further ado, it's time to head over to the mill. And here we are. We have what we're looking for. It goes down just like it's supposed to. Bring out my files for just a minor cleanup. Yeah, this one. And a flat one. There, these two. Not much to clean up on it, but that's part of the climb milling, is to eliminate this work here, or as much of it as you can. Got rid of a fair part of it. Now just look for anything sticking up. Yeah, it looks good. So let's test the there's the upper race. Now at this point, this would go down on the bearings. This, there will be a tri-plate on here, then this. Where's my, and then the top. Anyway, that worked pretty good. I'm happy with it. Next thing we'll be working on is the tri-plates or the saw. I haven't decided which one, but right now it's real windy outside and I don't want to fool with anything that makes small metal particles. So the saw might not be happening. But I might be pulling the tri-plates to bring them here to the mill. But I also have to make a fixture to hold it. But anyway, until next time, thank you. If you like the content, please consider helping to support the channel, either through Buy Me a Coffee, PayPal me at OnCNC, or on my Patreon. Links in the description. Thank you.